Math 3, Unit 10, we're going to talk about filling in the entire unit circle. The first thing when you are filling out the unit circle is to fill in the degrees. We know this starts at 0. The next one I like to fill in is all the 45s because I know the 45 is in the middle. So I'm going to fill in 45. When you add 45 plus 45, you get 90. You add another 45, you get 135. You add another 45 and you get 180. Another 45, 225. Another 45, 270. Another 45, 315. If you wanted to use a calculator and you just keep pressing add 45, you don't even have to add in your head. You can use a calculator. The next I'll do is 30s. So we start at 0, we put 30 in. You add 30 and you get 60. You add 30, you get 90. You add another 30, you get 120. Another 30 is 150. Another 30, 180. Another 30 is 210. Another 30 is 240. You add another 30, you get to the 270. Add 30 again, we get 300. Add another 30 and we get 330, and then we end up with another 30, which is 360. All of your degrees are added in. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, next we're going to do the radians. At 0, it is 0 radians. Most difficult one right there. Okay, just kidding. All right, next we're going to do the 45s just like we did before. Now, what you can do is if I want to change 45 degrees into radians, what do I multiply by? Pi over 180. Because I want pi to be on the top, and so it's pi over 180. When we're eliminating radians, we do 180 over pi. Okay, in your calculator, if you take 180 and you divide it by 45, which was already there, you get 4. So here, 45 cancels out. 45 goes into 180 4 times. So 45 degrees is pi over 4 radians. Is everyone okay with that process? Okay, so if 45 degrees is pi over 4, when I add another 45 degrees, I'm going to add another pi over 4. So that means at 90 degrees, it's going to be what? 2 pi over 4. I add another 45 degrees, which will be another pi over 4, and that's going to be 3 pi over 4. Okay, at 180, it's 4 pi over 4. At 225, it's what? Good, 5 pi over 4. At 270, it's 6 pi over 4. At 315, it's 7 pi over 4, and at 360 it's 8 pi over 4. So we took care of all of our 45 degrees. Any questions with that? Next we're going to do our 30 degrees, okay? But we want to change 30 degrees into radians. So we're going to take 30 and we're going to multiply by what? Very good, pi over 180, and we're going to reduce. First of all, they both have zeros, so we can cancel the zeros out. And then 3 and 18, I can divide by 3, and we end up with 6. And so 30 degrees is pi over 6. Is everyone okay with that? So we have pi over 6. When we add another 30 degrees, we're adding another pi over 6. So at 60, it's going to be what? 2 pi over 6. When we get to the next 30, we get 3 pi over 6. The next one is 4 pi over 6. 5 pi over 6 at 150. We have 6 pi over 6 at 180. 7 pi over 6 at 210. 8 pi over 6 at 240. 9 pi over 6 at 270. 10 pi over 6 at 300. 11 pi over 6 at 330. and then 12 pi over 6 at 360. Do we have any questions there? So all we're doing is adding, right? We're adding a 30 degree. We're adding a pi over 6 every time, going all the way around. So all you have to convert is 30 degrees, and then you just keep adding each time. Very easy to fill it in. Now, after this, I would go back and reduce. So going through here, 2 pi over 6, that can reduce to what? Pi over 3. Okay, up here, 2 pi over 4 and 3 pi over 6, both of those reduce to be what? Pi over 2. 4 pi over 6 reduces to be? Good. And then 6 pi over 6, 4 pi over 6, both of those, or sorry, 4 pi over 4, both of those reduce to just be pi. And then the 8 pi over 6, that will reduce to be 4 pi over 3. Down here, both of these reduce to be 3 pi over 2. And then 10 pi over 6 will reduce to be 5 pi over 3. And then last up here, those both become 2 pi. Any questions? So the last thing now we have is our ordered pairs. The ordered pairs that are the easiest to start with are our ones that are quadrantal spots in between quadrants. What is this ordered pair right here? No.
1, 0.
1, 0 is correct. Up here at the top is 0, 1. To the left?
-1, 0.
Good. And below?
0, -1.
0, -1. Okay. So now this is where we have our triangles, and we're going to just look at our first quadrant. Remember that this first triangle, that triangle represents how many degrees? 30 degrees, and that's 90, and that's 60. Okay, for 30 degrees, do you remember if we want all of the hypotenuses to be 1, because we're dealing with a 1-unit circle. Based on that being 1, do you guys remember what's across from the 30? 1/2 is correct. No. Just kidding. Which one? Across from the 30 is what? It is 1/2. It is 1/2. Okay. And then across from 60 is? Okay. So the 60, remember how we remember this? This 60 has the 2 and the 3. 2 times 3 makes 6. Okay? And then the 30 is half of 60. Okay. So, remember that this is going on the x-axis and this is going on the y-axis. So therefore, over here in the x spot is root 3 over 2, and the y spot is 1/2. This next triangle is dealing with 45 degrees. Very good. And each of the 45s are root 2 over 2. So both the x and the y are both root 2 over 2. This 60 degree, very good. So across from the 30 is our 1/2, and across from the 60 is root 3 over 2. So again, my x is 1/2, and my y is root 3 over 2. Are there any questions on that? And if we need to go back to the triangles, we can talk about those later. But once you have these written on, we're doing each of our ordered pairs with the x and the y. Those represent the ordered pairs, x and y. Okay, once you have the first quadrant filled in, this is a 30-degree angle right here. This one is our 30, this one is our 30, and this one is our 30. So we saw that these points match There's just negatives being added to them based on the direction. So what will be this ordered pair over here? Negative root 3 over 2, 1/2. Because on the x direction, it's going left, which is negative. This 30 degree is going to be what? Nope. So we're sticking with the 30 degrees, right? So
negative root 3 over 2, negative 1.
Yes, they are both negatives because we're going negative, negative. So both of the ordered pairs are negative, but it's still in the 30-degree spot, so it's the same numbers. It's just that we have negatives. Okay, on this 30-degree spot, again, dealing with these same numbers, the x value will be positive root 3 over 2, but then it goes down, which is negative 1/2. And then we do the same thing now for the 45s. So we already have our 45, which is root 2 over 2 and root 2 over 2. So over here, it's just that the x is negative root 2 over 2, and the y is positive root 2 over 2. You go to the 45-degree angle down here. Okay? This one, both of them are negatives. Negative root 2 over 2, negative root 2 over 2. Quadrant 4, which one's negative?
Y.
The y. So you have x is root 2 over 2, and then y is negative root 2 over 2. Do we have questions? And then the last one is our 60 degrees. So same order pair, but what is it going to be over here based on negatives? Good. Negative 1/2, and then root 3 over 2. Down here, both of them will be negative. Good. Negative 1/2, negative root 3 over 2. And then over here, the x is positive, but the y is negative. So that makes it
1/2 negative.
good. And that's it. Any questions?